I'm going to go over some OTC jack modifications I've done so it works with my Harley Sportster. This is a 2014, but my daughter has a 06 and it's the same setup underneath the bike. First problem I ran into with the OTC jack was this metal bar here was originally welded across this edge, left to right, standing up. So when you would roll the bike under the jack under the bike with the kickstand down, it was hitting the kickstand and wouldn't allow you to get a good bite underneath the bike. Also, so what I did was I cut that off and then I welded it down, horizontal on the jack, so that gave me the room to slide it under. Then the cross T here was also interfering with the kickstand again to allow me to get the bike nice and center on the lifting area. So I had cut that loose and welded it in. You can see it right there. I'll take the bike off the jack and I'll give you those measurements where I moved it to. The next big problem on this is if you look underneath here, you'll see this big plug. It's kind of like a piece of pipe coming off with a cap on it. Well, this thing winds up hitting the jack, and so now it's not like fully on the jack on the rear. So I made an aluminum bar that fits in a channel under there. There's two channels on this frame, and I made an aluminum bar to go in there, and I'll take that out and show you what I did to make it and some measurements, because there's some holes in that bar, and you can bolt that aluminum bar I put in there and then use the jack. This is the end of the bar sticking out right here. Okay, this is the channel down here I'm talking about. You can't see but there's actually two holes in here which you can access the top of this on here, and you can see that plug off of that steel bar in there. So the object is that aluminum bar goes into this channel, and I just used this one hole so I can put a wing nut on top and tighten it up into the channel. So when I use the jack, it's in the channel already. I'm not trying, otherwise when the bike's on an angle, it's going to want to flip up on you. So you really need to screw it in there. So here's what I've done to this aluminum bar. And the aluminum bar is actually 1 inch by 1 inch. I'm pretty sure, let me double check that, yeah. It's 1 inch square. You can find these scrap cutoffs on eBay. They're pretty cheap. And then what I've done is I've from this one edge, this is the edge that's going towards that rubber plug area. What I did is I drilled and tapped a 5/16 18 hole, and this measurement here on center is 3 5/16 on center. So you want to mark it 3 5/16 in the center on 1/2 inch here, mark it, and then drill your hole and tap it for a 5/16 18 thread. Then you can buy a stud or just take a bolt that's got, and then cut the head of it off and screw it on. Best way. and wing nut's optional. You can use a regular nut. I just hand tighten this. Now, my bike, the exhaust bracket is a little bit higher than the frame, so I don't have a problem. My daughter's bike, her exhaust bracket came down, it must have been like 1/4 of an inch, and because my bar sticks past, I milled this notch in here to clear her muffler bracket. I just keep it long like this. It's just easier for me to hold on to it when I'm putting it in, but you can actually shorten it up to where if you had a problem with it hitting your muffler bracket, you could just shorten it up to where it just fits in that channel in the rear. By doing this, because when the bike was sitting on that little knobby, it was a little unstable. You know, you don't have a good contact pattern because you're bridging over that. When you put this bar in there, it'll give you 100% footprint on the bottom of that bike, on that rear pad on the lift. It works fine. I've used this setup, pulling the rear tire, doing all kinds of work on the bike. I don't even use any straps on it, and it's really stable. I've had no issues or felt that it was going to fall off or whatever. We'll go over to the jack. I'll show you the dimensions on where I relocated those bars I cut out. Okay, the front bar, like I say, I cut it out here. It was sitting vertical, and then I laid it down horizontal here towards the bottom of the jack. So what I did was I cut that out, and then I moved it back 6 1/4 from the front edge. So you go back 6 1/4 to this front edge and weld it in. Let me see if I can get up here on the top one. Now the top cross bar, that ties the pads together, I cut that loose and I moved it back to 5 1/2. So it's 5 1/2 from the front edge here, and put it in the same horizontal position as it was. It's just further back. So I'll just go over this one last time. The Sportster is unique, I think, to the other Harleys. The bigger Harleys, the kickstand is way forward on the frame, so it doesn't seem to be an issue from what I'm seeing on YouTube and stuff. But I don't have a bigger bike to experiment on and see how it fits on there. But the Sportster, the kickstand is right in the middle of the damn frame, and then plus you got this knob that's got to hang down to interfere with the the bike sitting flat. That's where we come in with the aluminum bar. And also what this does, because I have a larger front tire, 21 inch and then 16 on the back. When I put that bar in there, then when the bike comes up, it's all nice and level. It takes up that difference in the height on the tires. Like I say, this is an easy project to make. On this part here, I just rounded it off on the forward edge, like when it's pivoting. It's sitting there on the bike and it wants to roll over. You don't have a sharp edge digging into your pad on the lift surface. A way I work around this is if you had somebody to hold the bike straight up, put the kickstand up, then you could get under there. But I work by myself, which most of you guys do. I want to be able to jack this bike up off the stand and work on it, and then lower it down onto the stand. I don't have anybody here to hold the bike up, and even when you got somebody holding the bike up, you got to remember these jacks don't go straight up and down; they go down and they kick out. So how the bike is, gets a little unstable over it goes. Well, I just hope this helps you guys out, and let me know in your comments. Anybody knows what that little pipe tit sticking off the frame is, What I think it might be is they might have a nitrogen purge that they run through the inside of the frame when they're welding it. Nitrogen pushes the oxygen out, so you don't get any like weld contamination when they're welding the frame. That's just my theory. If anybody really knows, post a comment.